everyone, welcome back to the sewing room of Garner. My name is Sandra and I will be walking you through today's tutorial. So what you're going to need for this tutorial is you're going to need 1 yard of main fabric, 1 yard of lining, and 1 yard and 3/4 of sew-in interfacing. You want it to be a thick sew-in interfacing. It can be fusible as well, but I find that the sew-in is a little sturdier, so you want it to really hold its weight. So other supplies you're going to need a ruler, you're going to need a marking tool, you'll need your rotary cutter or a pair of scissors, and for this bag we're going to be making it with the magnetic snap option today, and I like to use this fusible double-sided tape. It makes my life so much easier when I'm doing a lot of different things. Okay, so for the measurements on the bag, it is 19 inches wide and 15.5 inches tall. Okay, and here in the corners I have cut out 2.5 inch squares. So over here in the corner it's 2.5 inch cutout. I've just put a couple of placements, my grain lines, so I know I want it to go parallel with my grain line going this direction. And here's my placement line for my magnetic snap. I like to keep that all noted so that way I know when I'm putting everything together exactly where everything's going to go. Okay. So another thing you're going to need are 2 straps. So for the straps, you're going to cut a 26-inch long piece of fabric by 3 inches. And I say long wise because I want you to cut it off with the grain going this way. So the selvage is up and down with the 26 inches and then 3 inches wide. I say that because we want to make sure that it doesn't stretch this direction, whereas if we were doing it the other direction, it would stretch like that, and we don't want that going this direction. We don't want our straps to pull and stretch, so we want them to go this way to be really nice and sturdy. Okay, so go ahead and trace out your pattern. These are 2.5 inch squares cut out, and after you've done that, cut 2 pieces out of your main fabric, 2 pieces of your lining, and 2 pieces of the sew-in interfacing. Another thing that I like to do is I like to cut out a 1 1/4 inch of the sew-in interfacing to put inside my strap. That makes it a little sturdier. It kind of keeps itself up a little bit better with it having the interfacing inside. Okay, it just holds itself up a little bit better with the interfacing versus not having the interfacing. It's just going to flop down. See the difference in that? So I personally like to have the interfacing in it. It keeps it nice and sturdy. Okay, so I'm going to show you different steps along the way and like little tips on how to do all this. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to put my stuff over there so you can see that. Okay, now you're going to need to cut out a piece of the sew-in interfacing to put in your lining to go on here, and that's for the magnetic tab to go in through, so it has something really sturdy to go into. Okay, just so it doesn't come out the lining or anything like that. Okay, so here on my pieces that I've cut out, okay, you're going to need to sew on your interfacing onto your main piece of fabric. Okay, so I've sewn mine on. I don't sew any of these corners, I just sewed around. So hopefully you can see that on the camera. I sewed around through here. So here's a tip. Sew the left and right sides first and then the bottom and top. If you do that, it keeps everything nice and flat, and so you're not going to get a lot of puckers and tucks and it moving and shifting on you. This is a vinyl type of fabric, so this is very slippery. So I am using a Teflon foot to put all this together. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then come back, and then you can finish off with this. Now, before we assemble these two pieces together, I like to make my straps. Okay, so my straps, I'm going to show you how I make my straps. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see my workstation. Okay, perfect. Okay, so make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, should be able to see good. Okay, so for my 1 1/4 inch piece of interfacing, I've marked the center line and I've marked the center line of my strap. Okay, I've marked my center line of my straps as well, so I could see that. I went ahead and folded it in half and ironed it, and then now this goes on really quickly. Just you stick it on and then you heat it to fuse it. Okay, and then you peel the sticky part off. Okay. It sometimes doesn't like to kind of peel all that well when it's cooled off. You need to have it a little warm in order to peel it the best way. Okay, so go ahead and peel that off, and it's a little tacky. It is fusible, but it's also a little tacky before you actually fuse it, so sometimes the edges like to gum up on me and not pull off all the way. There we go. Okay, so there it is, and now I'm going to place it with my center marks right here. Okay, so there's my center marks right there, and I'm going to cut it down onto my center marks. Line that up. Okay, and you could readjust this. It's not permanent. It just likes to stick down. Okay, so you don't have to, like, as soon as it sticks down, it's like it's permanent. Now you could pick it up and place it again if you need to. Okay, so just fuse it on. Just takes a couple seconds to fuse it. This just saves me a lot of time. Okay, then now I want to just pull that up by 1/4 inch. Okay, 1/4 inch. There's no measurement police, so it's okay if it's a little less than 1/4 inch. What I want to have happen is it's tapped, it's just pretty much down, so that when I put this on top of this side over here, it covers. See that? Okay. So then that way when I go to sew it on, sew it all together, it's all nice and pretty. Okay. This is one way to do a strap, but there are so many ways to do a strap. I mean, there are lots of ways to do a strap. You could have done this and then turned it inside out if you had already a good sturdy piece of fabric. You didn't have to use interfacing if you already had a good sturdy one, like upholstery or something. Just making sure to catch all that fabric up underneath my stitch. Okay. So there's our strap. Okay, so now that we've got this strap done, we can go ahead and move forward to putting the straps on our bag. Okay, so what I like to do is just measure in from each side. Okay, the easiest way to do this is fold it in half. Fold it in half. Okay, know my mark. Okay, and see here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I already put my place marks. Well, they were supposed to kind of match up, but they're not. So just take a marker. Okay, I'm just taking it and putting it in about, like, I think it's like 4 inches. Yeah, it's about 4 inches in. Okay. Okay. So now that I've done that, on that side, I'm going to go ahead and mark it on both sides of my fabric. Okay. There's my 4 inches on each side. Okay. So I want to put my straps on either side of that, like this. Okay. Make sure that when you're putting it on, okay, you're not putting it like twisted again, and then it's not straight. Okay. I'm gonna pull it on. Okay. And then I want the corner of my piece to be at the right hand corner of this, to be on the outer corner, like that. Okay, and then pin it. It's just so much easier to do this now than it is after you've already made the bag. Believe me, I've done it a few times. I have, really have. Okay, so there's that one. Go ahead and keep it tabbed up. I want to make sure that I have the same length, but on my corner right there, looks nice and straight. Okay, and pin it. Okay, so now here's the part where we're going to line these two pieces up together. Okay, like this, so that we can have both pieces, both straps placed exactly in the same spot. Okay, so now when I've done that, I'm going to put my pin I just so happened to guess that. Okay, so now I'm going to put it together. Make sure everything's put together, and then push my pin through the other side. Okay. So now I've got my place mark for both of my straps. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put this strap down. Okay. Get this up and out. And what we're going to do is we are going to be coming up the side, okay, and we're going to come up. So you'll feel the piece of interfacing in there. I made the interfacing smaller, it's about 22 inches instead of 24 inches, so that I can account for it stopping right there. Okay. I'm going to make a big X. Shortening my stitch length a little bit. Okay. This is so much easier than doing it after the fact, believe me. Okay. to the corner. I got one more. And then make a crisscross. Okay. Snip my fabric. There we go. And it is sewn on. Okay. So we're going to do that to the other pieces, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to put it all together. Okay. So let me see here. We have to start from this side up. Once you get started in doing this, it comes together really quickly. Feel for where the edge of that interfacing is, right there. Come up. Go across. Come back down. Do it all over again. The placement of your straps is very important, because this is when most people have problems, is when their tote bags kind of seem to fall over. It's because they're not they're not the same size and they don't fall on the same spot. So then what ends up happening is that the tote bag doesn't fit right, because what seems to like fall over on the side. Okay, that way. This one's too small. Make sure it's the same. Making sure that that what I tuck under is the same size as the other pieces, and I'm going to make sure that it's the same size here, because believe it or not, that makes a big difference. It does. It makes a big difference in how it lands on you. Okay? If the strap's falling off or anything like that. Okay? So I'm going to head in to this side. Looks like it got a little loud on me. Gonna feel for where that interfacing is. Right there. Why is it going so slow? I knocked my speed down. Okay. Which way am I going again? Well, the orientation sometimes like, what? Where am I going? Keep turning, keep turning. menu up this way. I didn't want to get it stuck. I can see I didn't go quite far enough yet. I didn't go to that corner. And you could tell, believe it or not, you can tell. That would just drive me bonkers, knowing that I didn't do that. Okay. See how well that came out together? That came out really nice. I like that right there. It's a nice little box. Good sturdy strap. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to put your straps down and you're going to pin them out of the way. Okay, so take them and pin them out the way. Because for what you're going to do now, you don't need to get these, you don't want to get these guys in the way, okay? We won't need these out for a little while, so just go ahead and keep them out of the way. Put pretty sides touching. Okay, pretty sides touching. You're gonna line up your pieces, and then you're gonna sew down each side at a half an inch away. So for me, that's as far as my foot would go on this side. Okay. Half inch. Keep it nice and lined up, and then go. If this ends up being a little too bulky for your machine, for your foot, you can use a walking foot. It is going through several layers. Okay, so again, this is where it's going to start doing that whole wanting to pucker because of the thickness of it. If you had a purple thing or something, you could do the same thing with that. Okay, cut. Okay, cut. Do the other side, same way. Tend to get bulky, but it's okay. Just push it on through. Okay, and now you're going to do the bottom. Now this is the exact same thing that you're going to do with the lining, with the exception of the straps. You're not going to put straps on your lining. Just show you. Okay. Make sure it's nice and lined up. Okay. The biggest thing with this bag is to make sure your seam allowances are consistent. That is the biggest mistake that a lot of new sewers do, is that they don't have a consistent seam allowance, and that'll mess you up every time. It won't turn out right. It will look crooked and all that kind of stuff, okay? So I had to go around and fetch it because it just fell off the table. Okay, so now what you're going to do is, I like to call these little fishy mouths. Fishy mouths. Okay, so now you're going to do is you're going to make sure you see this dot, and then you see that dot on each side, okay? You're going to want to make sure that in the middle, your two, your seams are nesting together. And then you're going to pin, or you could just use one of those little wonder clips too, because it is kind of bulky. Okay? And then we're going to put this under and sew it all together. Again at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay? It's kind of bulky right now. This wasn't as bad as the foam. The foam was just crazy. Okay. So there's that. Trim up our threads. There's that side. Now we're going to do the other side. Again, put our fishy mouth together. Seam allowance is nice and snug together. And it just, see how you just, when you put that seam allowance together in the middle, it just falls in place. Snip all those extra threads. It just falls right in place. Okay? It all falls in place. Okay? Let's start over here, 1/2 inch. If your seam allowance, like I said, is not consistent, this bag will look lopsided. It's very important you keep up with that. It doesn't matter if you have a different seam allowance than what it had told you in the pattern or anything like that, as long as it's consistent. I mean, with totes and bags and things like that, as long as it's consistent, because it's accounting for that, for everything to line up. So these threads are going to drive me crazy. Okay. The threads. I like to clean up as I go. You won't see any of this on the inside. You won't see any of it, but it will, like, when I see it, I just have to snip it. It's like I'm going to spend 5 minutes snipping threads. Okay, so there we go. Done. 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 Okay. Okay, so there is your box. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to show you how to put on your magnetic snaps onto your lining. So you do the same exact thing with your lining, like I said, except for the straps. Okay, so here I've already put this one down, okay, and I've got my little piece of interfacing. I put my tape down as well, again, just like before, kind of heat it up a little bit to kind of get the glue to release from the paper. Okay, pull those off, and this just helps keep it in place so I don't have to try to pin it. Because if I have to sit there and pin it, it may still shift on me and I have to pin it really a lot, and I just want to make sure it stays in place. Now, this is not like life-threatening, crucial, like it has to be perfectly centered or whatever kind of thing, you know. I like to line up my little dots. Just so that I know somewhere in here, my metal piece is going to go. That's all it's for. It's just to make sure that happens. Okay? It's just to tack it down temporarily. Okay? Now I'm just going to stitch a box around it, just like I did with this one, and then we'll put on our female piece. Okay, because I've already put on the male. reinforcing that to make sure that if the glue doesn't hold, the stitches sure will, and this magnetic piece is not going to just come off. Went a little too far. So the magnetic piece isn't going to come off because you know, the lining, the integrity of the lining kind of got messed up or anything like that. You don't have to worry about that. Someone would have to do some serious, I mean serious tugging on this to get these magnetic snaps to come off on the lining. Okay. Okay. So, I got that one. So there it is. Okay. Now I have marked here where the center piece is going to be for the other pieces. All I did was take it down and I kind of pushed. I laid this down flat. Okay, I laid it down nice and flat, and then you can feel where the female piece is going to go. Right there. Okay, so I want to make sure that I line that up with these other pieces on the side, and then I just mark it. Okay. Then I'm going to snip into it. Now another big thing, guys, another big thing, you want to make sure you don't make these slashes too big, because I've seen people do that as well, where they make the slashes so big that, yeah, it comes through, but the integrity of the fabric is also gone with it. So be careful with that, okay? Don't get slash happy. Like, I literally just put a tiny little piece together. well, it's connecting. Okay, so now I put this piece down, and then I'm going to push it open. You gotta like really force it down. There we go. There is our magnetic closure. That looks like everything was magnetically closed. So there it is, nice and together. There's our magnetic closure. Okay, very easy peasy, nice to put. Remember, just put in some interfacing to really reinforce that. Okay, so now we get to put our bag in here. Okay, so this is lovely. Okay, so this is pretty side out. So now I have to take my tote and turn it inside out. Turn it pretty side out. Okay? Turn it pretty side out. Look at those seams. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I love it when it comes together really nice, pretty. Okay, so go ahead and pop those out. That's perfect. Look at those seams. They just line up perfectly. Oh, that's great. A little piece of thread right there, but look at those seams. That's perfect. Okay. I like it when my seams come together. That's the quilter in me. Okay, so this bag needs to go inside of the lining. So just kind of squish it up and put it in the lining. Okay. Squish it, squish it, squish it, squish it, squish it. It doesn't have to be perfect down there, it just has to be coming up. And then these side seams have to line up. So kind of squish your bag down, open up your seams, or push them to this one side, and just nest those seams really good and pin. Okay? Do that to each seam. Okay, so what you don't want to forget to do here is leave an opening. You have to leave an opening to turn it out. somewhere, okay? So I'm gonna leave my opening to turn it out over here because I'm gonna top stitch this, and I'm gonna show you a trick also for this. I'm gonna leave it open over here. So I'm gonna put one pin here. I'm gonna put 2 pins over here so I know where to stop. So I know that's where I need to stop. Okay? I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna go all the way around. All the way around. Okay? I don't need to pin crazy. Go crazy pinning here because as long as it lines up, it's good. Okay? I'm not too crazy on pinning usually, but there we go. Okay? So now I'm going to take this piece off of my machine. Okay? So it makes it nice and easy for me to do this. Okay. Hopefully I didn't mess you guys up with your, oops, turn it off, with your view. Okay, so now again, we're going to start here, stop there. Okay, good. So go to your start place. This could be anywhere. This you could just kind of remind yourself to stop somewhere. That's okay too. Okay, so right here, okay, I know that I'm coming up on my seam allowance. This looks a little weird, guys. I know, I'm sorry. I'm gonna start here. So I'm gonna start on the other side of this, and I'm gonna come in at a 90-degree angle. Okay, I'm gonna go backwards a little bit. Make sure that's the, not quite. Go up a little bit. I'm going to show you why this matters in just a second, guys. I mean, it's a really big deal, I promise. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? If I have it at a 1/4 inch, I'm not having to sit there and cut away a lot of it later. When I first started learning how to sew, my dad would not be happy if I sewed over a pin. Not happy at all. Just, he's like, Pancha, don't do that. And I was like, okay, Bobby. And then when he wasn't looking, I'd do it. But now I feel he's always looking, so I go ahead and just take the pins out. I won't say really forget, then I do it sincerely. Don't do it just out of spite or anything. I just forget. Okay, so here we're coming to the spot where I am going to run off, and I'm going to go ahead and sew off this direction and backstitch. Okay. Okay. So now we get to turn our bag out from this opening right here. Okay. So you're just going to take your bag, and it's going to really reinforce that, so that way what happens is you're not going to pull out your stitches. Okay, take your strap, and you can unpin it if you need to help you get this big bad boy out. and just pull the lining, the main piece out of the lining, okay? It's gonna seem like it's impossible, but I promise it's not. Just keep pulling, just keep pulling. Okay. There we go. Woohoo! I love it when a plan comes together. Okay. Take all my lining out. Push, 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 push. And then stuff it back in. Okay, so now when we come back to this part here, it just kind of like just sticks back in there. Like it just wants to go in exactly where we just did our seam. So you could have it that it's like this and it's kind of sticking up a little bit, but I personally like to stick it in myself. Really good and stick it in. Now this fabric, I'm going to warn you. Hold on a second. Wait a little too far up into this seam. The fabric that I'm working with is a vinyl. So vinyl does not like the iron at all. It's plastic. So because it's plastic, you're gonna have to finger press this and just make it go down, and then do a top stitch all the way around. Okay, just make it go down. You could iron from the other side. You could turn it inside out and then iron it from the inside out, but I'm still kind of scared to do that with this because this doesn't like the iron at all. Okay, so just keep tucking that in, and then we're going to do our top stitch all the way around. And I kind of like to start where the opening was. Okay, tuck that in, put the lining piece over it, and it's like magic. Right in there. And you won't even notice that that's actually where you got started. Okay, so I'm going to up my stitch length a little bit because me personally, I think a top stitch looks better when you have it a little wider. Okay. And you could do this with a twin needle or anything that you would like. And you could do it with anything that you would like, really. Or just a single one and then just go around twice. That will look nice too. It is bulky, so just take your time. I'm just tucking it in under as I'm getting to it. Just a little piece at a time. Tucking it under, tucking it under. And I'm sewing like, I guess it's about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. I could have gotten a little closer, and I might do a second stitch all the way around a little closer. I don't know, see how it looks together as it comes together. These side seams are a little bulky, so just be careful going through those side seams. My son picked up this fabric for his sister, so I made a larger bag, and it was just way too big for her. So, you know, I might do like an accented bag with this type of fabric with what I have left over, which isn't too much, and make like a zipper pouch with like an accent on it or something. Oh, that's for my like little clip clip. Like what was that? Okay. 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 And here is the tote bag. Nice and pretty and lined. You can easily add a pocket inside or anything like that, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. And there's our snaps together. Look at that, it's beautiful. Beautiful with our straps. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial, and you come back and see us again at the Sewing Room of Garner. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Garner Sewing. And we also have a sew club, a beginner sewing club that we have, and it is a closed membership, but you just have to ask for permission. You can get put on there. And I upload these types of videos, all kinds of information on beginners, tips and tricks and things like that. If you're in the area, look for some of our classes or our workshops that we have going on. So this one is going to be one of our workshops that we have coming on this summer, and it's going to be part of our teen or older girls are going to be able to do these type of bags for their summer camps as well. So I hope to see you guys soon. Have a great and blessed day.